off this call. Hey guys, welcome to your weekly team call. Obviously, I am not Amanda Rakowski. I'm not your coach or upline. Amanda is one of my very dear best friends and business partners. We have been doing this business together for almost 7 years, which is crazy. But my name is Cait Davies, and I am a 3-star diamond coach, and I live in Portland, Oregon. I'm 28 years old, and I have a 1-year-old as of Friday, this coming Friday, which is crazy. But before I dive into everything that I want to talk to you guys about tonight, I'll tell you guys a little bit about my story and myself. So if you would have told me, so I've been coaching 7 years in December, which is crazy. But if you would have told Caitlin 8 years ago or 9 years ago or a decade ago that her job would have been a health and fitness coach, I would have laughed at you, because I was literally the girl who quit everything she started. I had no consistency. I had no drive to really better myself. And I was constantly giving up on myself. I would get in my head and I would just get distracted by things. I would start things and stop things, so much so that when I finally started Beachbody, I reached out to Amy. I had stalked her on Instagram for a really long time. She lived in Lake Oswego at the time where I was living. And I was like, oh my gosh, this girl's so cool. I want to hang out with her, be her friend. But anyways, I was really weird and I was a creep. And when she asked me to be a coach originally, I said no, because my whole family told me not to. They all told me not to do Beachbody. They all told me not to sign up for this. They're like, you're just going to quit because you quit everything you start. Everybody in my life told me that. But previously, a little rewind, I grew up in an alcoholic household. I watched my parents struggle with addiction. I watched us get evicted from house after house, live in my dad's car for a period of time, live with friends, watch him go in and out of rehab, crazy stuff. So I knew at a young age what I didn't want out of life, but I didn't know how to get there. I barely graduated high school. I didn't go to college because I didn't want to put myself in debt when I had no money. I didn't have the grades to get into anything besides community college. And I struggled so much with school because of family stuff going on. So that was never a driving force for me. And so I kind of just accepted that I was going to work 9 to 5s forever. I was going to just be that girl. That was my job. That was, pay bills and die. And I started working at a gluten-free bake shop. And that was when I started taking my health seriously. I realized I was gluten tolerant. I went paleo. I started actually giving a crap about what I ate and how I felt. And then I started following Amy and watching her. And at the same time, I'd actually started CrossFit. I had gotten a Groupon for it because that was the only way I could afford it. And started to fall in love with fitness, but I watched Amy get results. Well, my diet, even though I was paleo and gluten-free and all the things, I was still working at a gluten-free bake shop and eating cinnamon rolls and cupcakes and cookies and all the things. And so it's always really funny when people tell me that, they have too many distractions, they can't commit to a group. I'm like, girl, when I got started, I literally worked at a bakery, and my evil boss used to make us taste stuff, and we would just spit it out. It was horrible. But I did it. I committed. And Amy asked me to be a coach multiple times. And I said, no, because again, everybody told me not to do it. Everybody said I needed to go to college. I needed to stay at a safe job. And I just continued to watch her. I watched her work from home. I watched her travel. I watched her committed to these programs and getting amazing results. Well, I was in a challenge group. I did T25, but I didn't stick to nutrition. Again, I was the person who used every excuse. And then I worked for, like I said, a bossilla who would blame me for things, who made me feel really uncomfortable. I just didn't like my job. I worked with a lot of great women, and I was a front of house manager. And I thought making $9 an hour was the best I was going to get with no college degree. And then I had a really shitty day going into the holiday season of my job, and my boss sat me down at Safeway, where I'd worked previously, and told me I was a horrible manager. I was a horrible leader. I wasn't meant to lead people. I was great with customer service, but she blamed me for all these things that like weren't even accurate. And she asked me to step down as manager. And I remembered Amy in that moment saying, you should be a coach. You should be a coach. You should be a coach. Like, cause she had asked me like 5 or 6 times at this point, and I had said no. And so I walked away from that meeting, and I texted Amy and I said, you know what? I still don't know what coaching is, but I'm in. And the next day we got coffee at this little coffee shop. She told me more about her story. We cried for like an hour, and then I signed up as a coach. And that was like the end of December 2013. 2014, 2013. And it was so funny because I was so excited to have this opportunity. I was so excited to be able to see what I could do with it. And I was super confident in my ability because I was great with customer service. I was great with talking to people. But I had no social media really. I had like maybe 300 followers on Instagram. I used Facebook to complain about my day, and I didn't know anything. And I thought personal development was really stupid because I watched my parents both struggle with addiction for years and read self-help books. And so I didn't need that. So at the same time, I was quitting that job so I could get a different job. I ended up working at Starbucks because I just wanted to get out of that toxic bake shop that I worked at with that boss. And I started working at Starbucks, and I was so consumed with that. I was like, oh, my business will wait. Oh, my business can wait. Oh, I just need to focus on this. While I was still watching Amy do all the things. She's like, why aren't you hitting successful? Why don't you, like you said you wanted this? And I remember sitting down with her about 3 months into coaching, and it was, yeah, I had just hit in Success Club for the first time, like 3 months into my business. It was a team cut month. So yeah, it was February 2014. And I hit Success Club for the first time because I was on a team cup, and I was like, I'm not going to let these other people down. I had hit like 2 and 4 previously, and that month I hit 12. And so the next month we sat down at a tea house, and we talked about goals. And I was like, I don't want to work at Starbucks forever. I worked at a Starbucks in the mall, and like everybody would talk about holiday and how stressful it was because it was like a mall. And I was like, I don't want to do that. She's like, okay, then we're going to set your quit date for October 31st. So you get out before holiday starts. I was like, okay, that's like 6 months. I had 6 months. She's like, you got to hit diamond. You got to replace your income. At the time, it was like roughly $400 a week. I was like, okay, that seemed doable. And I remember her asking like what I was currently doing. And she asked me if I was using the scripts. And I was like, what are the scripts? And she said she was going to pull my hair out or her hair out. I'm not even sure. But what the message of that is, when your upline, your coach tells you like what you need to do to be successful, you just do it. You don't question it. You don't question how weird it feels in the beginning, because it's all going to feel weird and awkward. You just do it just like it's any other job. So I put my head down. I started using the scripts. I started inviting. She told me to connect and invite 50 people a day. So I did that. I committed to that. I was posting my list of names every day in her personally sponsored coach group. I was checking in with her. I went Emerald the next day. I signed up my boyfriend at the time and one of the girls I worked with as a discount coach. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I just put my head down and did the work. And then, so October 31st was my last day at that Starbucks, and I became a full-time coach. So that was 10 months into coaching. And here I am going on 6 years later, still full-time. And I will say, like, one thing that you need to remember and know about this is what gets you there won't get you to that next level. And I got stuck in that place for a minute. I was like, oh, I'll just keep doing what I was doing. And I got so preoccupied with all the other things going on and recreating the wheel and creating new systems and doing all the things that I wasn't actually doing a ton of business building activities. And that got me stuck in like management mode and stuck in this place in my business where I wasn't actually moving forward for a really long time. Because I thought, again, I was doing all the things, but in reality, I wasn't. But I was still sharing every day. I was sharing on social media. I was great at sharing the lifestyle and showing people what I was doing. I was great at getting results. And it just took talking to Amy again and having that moment of being like, okay, what do I need to do? And I think what's really important, you guys, because I know Amanda wants you all to be successful. I know she wants everything for you. And even as, again, I'm kind of like your aunt coach, because Amanda's like my sister coach, which makes me like your aunt. But, you know, like we all want you guys to see success in this. And so if you are struggling, if you're struggling to connect the dots in your business, like in the beginning for me, I really wasn't doing my invites. I really wasn't doing my PD. And like, that's where I was struggling. And then I was struggling with the consistency in the scripts and getting stuck in my head because thinking, you know, those aren't going to work for me. They work for other people. I don't care. It sounds weird. But I just had to go back to Amy and like listen and do the things that she told me to do and like put my head down and trust the process. So I hope you guys take away from this, like, even now, 7 years in, I'll have conversations with Amy and like have a real heart to heart. I'm like, this is what's going on in my business. This is where I'm struggling. Can I get like your thoughts? And she'll give me like, it can sound like tough love, but honestly, it's like the work that you need to be doing and like putting your head down and committing to the process. Sometimes we commit to it for like 2 or 3 days or a week or a month, and you're like, oh, I'm not seeing success from this. But the reality is like, you're not really putting in the work for long enough for the fruits of your labor to pay off. So I really want you guys to focus on consistency and remember what'll get you to that first goal of emerald or diamond won't get you to the next goal. You still have to keep your head down. You have to be willing to like pivot and adjust and keep moving forward. So I went full time. About 2 years later, I ended up being 2-star. I think that was 20. Wait, no. 1 star came the next year with one of my coaches. Again, I had somebody who was hungry. I think it definitely is like a numbers game. And just knowing that like all you can do is share what you're doing. I really don't believe that you can recruit a ton of business building coaches. The people who I have on my team who have decided to build this business aren't people who I recruited to build the business. Those people may have seen success in the beginning. They may have stuck around for like 3 to 6 months, but then they quit. I've had girls go diamond and or get very, very close to diamond. But they started as coaches and then they quit because they were in it for the wrong reasons. They didn't see the community. They didn't have that long-term belief in the products and the programs. The girls that I have on my team who are like lifers with me and who are building, like they are people who started my challenge group, started seeing results, started feeling good and building that belief. So I think what's really important is to know that you're either building belief or you're not with your people. And it starts on your social media, it starts in your challenge group, it starts in the way that you talk about what you're doing. Because if you're not excited about what you're doing, other people aren't going to be excited either. And whether you're excited every day or not, it's about like showing up and being vulnerable. Today, for instance, I decided to start the 75 hard challenge this month. I started September 1st. Well, mom life kicked me in the ass yesterday and I missed my second workout. I like fell asleep when I was going to do it. After Rowan went to bed, I fell asleep with him. And so this morning I started from day one and it sucked. And I was in a pissy mood and I like didn't want to show up, but I also knew that in order to get my mind right to talk to you guys, I was like, I need to work out. I need to do my PD. I have to do these things anyways, because that makes me a better coach, a better person. I want to make sure I'm giving you guys the right like vibes and energy. And I was like, so I have to do that. So I'm going to recommit. But I was like in a shit mood because of it. And I even went on my social media and I said, you know, like I'm normally like a really upbeat, positive person, but today I'm like, bleh. I'm like, I want to say, screw this. And that was just the reality of like me being me. And I think sometimes we think that we have to fit this image every day on our social media, that we have to show up the same, or we have to show up as this like upbeat, excited person. But the reality is like people like seeing you. And so tomorrow, I'm sure I'll be in a better mood. I'm really hoping I'm going to be in a better mood. There's a chance I'm about to get my period. That could be part of this too. So I might just be pissy for the next week. But like the reality is people can relate to that. People can relate to how you're feeling. People can relate to that. But it's about showing up on the good days and the bad days. It's about showing up when you feel like it or not. And like showing people that you are consistent. I like to say now consistency is my superpower. And there are days I still struggle and days I don't want to. But it's about getting over my feelings and getting into action. I think that's something that I've taken away a lot from this year, because even rewinding a bit, last year I went through the end of 2018, I went through a major breakup. I broke up with somebody I was with for like 6 years. And then I reconnected with a guy that I had seen off and on for like a decade. And I got pregnant and I was like, everybody's going to judge me. I don't know what to do. I decided to continue with my pregnancy, but I was so in my head about it. I was so freaked out. I was in survival mode. And honestly, I stepped back from my business. I stopped posting on social media. I kept my pregnancy quiet for almost 7 months. It was really weird. I didn't pop for like 6 months. I don't even know what happened or what. I think the universe was looking out for me there. But I was still showing up for my team. I was still showing up on the calls. I was still doing all the things. I just wasn't in recruiting mode, and I wasn't showing up on social media every day until I actually kind of came out with my pregnancy and shared the news. And then I felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. But I will say it did hinder my business. It did hinder my income. I did see a decent drop. And so coming into this year as a new mom, I had to recommit to the consistency. And what has been one of the most challenging periods of my life, because right after my son was born, his dad deployed to Africa for this last year. He just got back this week. And so I was going to be a single mom. And I was going to be somebody, I was terrified of being a mom. I was terrified of all these things. But if it weren't for this business and me showing up the previous, 5 years, even taking not even a full year, but a good 6 months off of recruiting, I was able to build something substantial to keep me going and something to come back to and something that I could build from. But I had to be consistent, and I had to commit to that consistency every single day. And at this point, it wasn't just about me anymore. And I think one thing that I want to challenge you guys to do is really think about your why. And we all say your why should make you cry, but for me, it wasn't until my why became bigger than me. And on the scale of I'm providing my life for my son, and nobody else is going to save me. Nobody else is going to change my life. It has to be me. That really pushed me forward. And again, this is what keeps me showing up on the days where I don't want to be consistent. I want to throw in the towel. I don't want to do my invites. I rather not show up, but it's showing up on those days, whether you want to or not, because that is what creates success and consistency. And this year, throughout COVID, we've had so many ups and downs. 2020, I don't even know, but I have decided to show up through it all, because we are going to come out of this, the universe, the world, everything is going to get better again, because the world just comes in ebbs and flows. I truly believe that. And so we're kind of going through a roller coaster. Whether you see it or not, people are watching what you do and how you show up. So even if you're not positive Polly every single day, but you're showing up consistently, you're taking care of yourself, you're sharing your personal development, you're sharing these calls, you're sharing this opportunity that you have, people are watching, and people need this more than ever. So I really want to challenge everybody going through this end of the year is to make consistency your superpower. Make showing up for yourself and showing up on your social media your superpower, because people need this right now as the world just keeps getting weirder. And I honestly think as we get closer to the elections, not to get political, it's going to get even crazier, just because of the nature of this year. And people are going to go off the wheels, off the train. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here, but it's your job to stay committed to what we're doing, because whatever happens in November, it doesn't matter. It doesn't change it does matter, but it doesn't change our day-to-day life. It doesn't change our job. People still need us. And so it's important to keep showing up through that and know people are going to watch you. I love this time of year. This is the time of year I dial in my nutrition. I always feel really good about it. I show up more because 60% of the population falls off in September. People are going back to school. There's the holidays. All of these things are coming on. And so it is my time to shine this time of year, because so many people drop off. So many people, we've had so many good customer leads this year because of people going online for their workouts, and VOD subscriptions and things just keep going up. And there's so many people who've signed up as coaches, but again, 60% of people drop off. So many people are going to be quitting, and all these people who have fallen in love with Beachbody are going to need a coach. And so it's really important to remember why you're showing up, because you're not just showing up for you, you're showing up for other people. You're showing up to show people what is possible with this. And even if they don't join you today, those people are going to be watching you. And when January comes around and they're feeling like crap because COVID-15 and then the holidays and then all the things, they're going to be oh, I saw Rachel showing up. Oh, I saw Pixie showing up. Oh, I saw Danielle showing up. These are the people who made me feel inspired, and I know that I'm going to join them and they're not going anywhere. I've had so many people come back around who have worked with other coaches because their coaches quit and their coaches quit, or they've never heard from them. And they're like, I followed you before. I ended up going a different way, but I really want to join you because like you're still here almost 7 years later. So I think what is crucial is to think about like the long term. Yes, think about your short term goals. Yes, think about where you want to be 6 months from now, but like think about where you want to be and how you want consistency to be your superpower, not just for a short period of time, but for a long period of time, and how it should be like a mindset. There's this one personal development like spiel that I listen to every single day. It's on Spotify. So Kim Fitzpatrick, I don't know if you guys have seen it on Spotify, has like a motivational playlist. I think I'm going to see if I can find it for the title for you guys. It's called Kim Fitzpatrick Motivational Tracks. This is what I listen to every day when I'm doing my invites and my follow-up. Even if I'm like, oh, I don't want to listen to it, it fires me up. It's like Les Brown. It's all of this like Eric Thomas, like super motivating tracks that like get you inspired. I'll listen to it during my workout, but I like to listen to it in my power hour because I truly believe like what we're taking in is what we're also putting out. And so like this just pumps me up. But there's one track in there, and it's from Tom Bilyeu, and it's called like One Decision Away. And he talks about how we are always one decision away from a completely different life. And that decision comes down to taking responsibility for every area of your life. And this was like a wake-up call to me. I like literally listen to this on repeat multiple times a day because I think about it more in terms of my business. If I'm taking responsibility for every area of my business, so I'm not happy with my challenge group, am I really doing everything I can to create the best environment, to add the most value, to create engagement and checking in on everybody the best that I can? Like, am I taking responsibility for that? Am I taking responsibility for my invites and making sure I'm inviting the people that I want to work with every single day? Am I taking responsibility for the connections that I'm making with my team, how I show up on my team calls, showing up for the national wake-up call? Am I leading by example? Am I taking responsibility for returning my emails within 24 to 48 hours? Am I taking responsibility for, my follow-ups and not letting people fall through the cracks? Am I taking responsibility for my workouts, and am I getting results? So he basically talks about, we're one decision away from a completely different life. And if you don't like where you're at right now, then that's okay, because the great thing is you are the only person who can change it. You are the only person who can change where you are going. And so I think we oftentimes forget the opportunity that we have. We have something, especially right now, that people need. Like, how ridiculous is it that we have something that we can turn into $1 million business? Beachbody does not guarantee any level of success or income. It is all up to your diligence, skill, and effort, and the hard work that you're willing to put in. Insert income disclaimer. But like, we have this opportunity that most people do not have. And the only thing holding us back from seeing the success and the life-changing opportunity that we have is ourselves. It's our ego. It's getting stuck in our head. It's not taking responsibility for every area of our business. It's leaving things up to chance. It's leaving things up to, oh, are we going to wait to hear back from them? Or, oh, I don't know if this person actually wants to join me. Oh, I'm afraid that, they're going to judge me if I invite them, or if I post again, am I being annoying to them? Like, we leave too much up to the opinions of other people, to chance, to people are just going to come to me, to all of these limiting beliefs, excuses, etc. Like, it is time to take responsibility for every area of our business and take responsibility for every area of our life, because that is a decision that will change your life and will change your business and will change the way you go into this next year. So I want to give you guys the assignment tonight of looking at your business, and you can even unmute yourself right now, and think about where you are struggling to take responsibility, or where you can lean in and show up harder for the next 4 months of 2020 to really set yourself up for the new year. Does anybody want to share?
I'll share, because I've held on to a basically full-time job for as long as I can remember, but I've always had like another job, whether it's been Beachbody for the last 3.5 years, but before that it was like a restaurant job or whatever, or like administrative assistant, stuff like that. And I've never had like the faith in, I guess, myself, but also I think recently I'm realizing it's a little bit of like fear of success. And that's a big one. And I always like thought that sounds so dumb when people would say it before. I'm like, how is that even possible? And now I get it. And so my last day at my full-time job is actually on September 30th. So currently I'm seeing clients over Zoom as an occupational therapist. And I've always been terrified to like not work for someone else because it's a steady paycheck, and it's very like comforting. And a lot of other things in my life have like not been comforting. And I'm at a point where kind of like nothing is comforting. And I've been saying that I don't want to go back to that job since quarantine started. And I was like, you know what, like this is the time. I'm moving. Like I don't need this. Like I will figure it out. I've always been able to. It's scary as hell, but I need that extra push. And so I'm kind of at a point where I have income from many, many different sources. Like I do a lot of things on my own. I have my cookbook that I'm selling. I recently started writing for an app for people with chronic illness. And I obviously have Beachbody, but my Beachbody business is nowhere near where it could be because I was never consistent with doing the things. And I'm now realizing like how much I'm like kicking myself. Like, why was I not doing this stuff? And like this year, I've definitely been more consistent. I'm hitting Success Club every month, and it might not be like crazy numbers, but I'm hitting it. And I think the biggest thing is getting out of your own way. And like, that's hard as hell. Like it sounds way easier than it is. And I still struggle with it big time. But now, because I'm kind of taking that leap of faith, like I don't have a choice. So that's kind of like what my focus for the end of the year obviously needs to be, is like building this up to what it should have been however long ago, but also not dwelling on the fact that it should have been whatever, because that just wasn't the time for it. And now it is apparently for me, and I'm like more confident in it. And I am exactly what you said. Probably every time I lead a team call, I talk about you have to be in love with the product, because otherwise, like, you don't even need to be doing this. You have to be in love with the product. You have to show up excited every single day. You have to show up every day. Even if you're not happy about it, then share about it. But if you're not showing up every single day, then you're really not going to get anywhere. And that's something that I've realized this year specifically, because no matter what, I always show up. Unless it's like a super intentional, like, you guys, I'm unplugging for a day, and like explaining why and kind of sharing that. But the consistency is the biggest thing that has completely changed this year so far for me. I think now I just need to be like personally hold myself accountable of the consistency of like the back end stuff, because I am not great at inviting, and I try to keep up on my messages and they get lost, and then I forget to follow up, and it's just like that's where I really need to focus in, and that's where the extra money comes from.
I love that. And thank you for sharing. I like to do, because I definitely have those days where like I don't feel like it. What I call it is like a personal check-in to like pull my head out of my ass. Like I'm constantly reminding myself like why I'm showing up and pulling my head out of my ass. And like one thing I would do though is make one area your focus for like September. And then not that you can't do the other things, like you can't do all the things, but say you're struggling with inviting, like this month, the rest of this month, make inviting your bitch. But like last month for Team Cup, what I had my girls do is we did 100 invites a week challenge. That breaks down to 14 invites a day, roughly. So like, that's really not that much. And so if you even just did that consistently and you made that a habit, and then you'll get more comfortable and better at it. The more that you do it, you'll find your groove with it. But I think just like sometimes we look at this big picture and we see all the things and we try to go all in on all the things at once. And it can feel overwhelming. It can feel like much. It can feel like we're failing in all these areas. But if you really like go hard in one, and it's not letting the other things fail, it's still doing them, but like go all in on one, you can really like nail that. And then you can take that into the next month and then do all in on that other area, like follow-ups and tracking, and like setting that system in place for another area, and just continuing every month to improve where you need to, but like having one set focus instead of like focusing on multiple things trying to go all in and then feeling like you're failing. That's something that I have done before. And so I realized like I just have to focus on one action, like one going all in thing at a time. Who else wants to share?
I'll share. So I feel like I have really like lost my groove. Like I have been adding some really amazing like coaches, girls that like want to like work the business, and some of them are on this call. And I'm all like over here being like like I need to like get back into like groove that I had. But honestly, and this is might be a limiting belief that I have, but like I feel like so much of my business has been like kind of like by chance, right? Kind of like how you were saying, like, don't leave it up to chance. Well, I was just like, have been successfully getting myself to the next spot by it coming by chance, right? Whether or not it is like me lackadaisically inviting or, you know, whatever. And I think part of that is like I do have to find this balance because I have my own like my own personal training business, and it's like I can't necessarily, because I have done that. I have been like, I'm going to put in a whole bunch of effort and time into Beachbody, but I wasn't necessarily doing the right amount of effort. I was doing more of the social media side, and I can see myself doing that again. Like I am very consistent in my stories again, which is good. But it's like I went through, and it's just like this whole year, right? Like I got a really good routine when we were at home for quarantine. And somehow once we went back to work, I haven't been able to like get back to where I was even before that. Like when I was before the whole world exploded and everything. And I'm having a hard time with like the very simplest daily activities, right? Even today I was like, okay, I'm gonna do my things and I'm gonna like add the people and I'm gonna send my invite or send my connecting message. But that's not something that I have done in a very long time. And I am like obviously being very like honest here because I want to obviously like lead by example with my coaches, where I'm like, no, do the things, right? Just do the things that we're supposed to do. But like I need to get to a point where I am also, because I'm like on this cusp, right? Where I'm like, okay, all I need to know is I need to just push the pedal down a little bit and get to that 1-star mark, get to the 2-star mark. And then things start rolling. Right. And so, I think it needs to come back down to like my why and my vision. And I need to go like back to, but I'm like, honestly, I'm struggling with like even posting consistently. Like I'll be like, okay, it's Sunday, I need to do my transformation, and then it will be like, oh, I have like 2 posts from the week, so then last Sunday was my transformation, and I can't do 2 of them that close together because that would look weird in my feed. But yeah, that's where I am at. So that's fun.
One, I love that you shared that and got accountable. Well, I think 1, 2, I've thought about that with my feed because I go through phases where I'm like, I'm in my head. But it's like people don't notice like we do. Like people don't overthink about it or stare at our feed like we do. And honestly, the people who are analyzing our feed, like we don't want to work with them anyways. Like
Right.
those that have too much time to like sit there and hate and be like, oh, she posted 2 transformations back to back, like whatever.
Right.
But you said like your kind of success so far has happened more by chance. Think about what you could accomplish by like really going all in. And I remember feeling like that. I've had phases where I felt like that too. But honestly, instead of feeling like defeated by it, because I went by that, I'm like, oh, I even felt like I didn't deserve to have where I was because I wasn't doing all the things consistently. I got really freaking motivated by it. I was like, okay, this happened by chance. What will happen if I just commit to doing the things that I need to do every single day, like where my business could be in a year, what kind of people I could attract, what kind of people that I would work with, how I would inspire my coaches to show up and how it would change their income and like what they're doing too. So I think again, like making it about more than you and just thinking about like the opportunity and what we have. But yeah, and like getting out of your head. It all comes down to like getting out of our heads. It's
No.
like the easiest thing to say, the
Yeah.
hardest thing to do.
Yes. And I was talking about this because I'm in therapy a couple different times a week, but for different things. But I was talking about it yesterday and I was like, or maybe it was last week, whatever, but I spend a lot of time like daydreaming. Like I will catch myself like just literally thinking about like whatever. It could be like my life, what it's going to be like when I am a full-time coach, or maybe it's like about the people that I'm looking at on Instagram or creating scenarios or whatever. And it's like something that I'm noticing and actively having to be like, okay, you need to, like, you're just like standing here, right? In your life, like you should be getting ready or to do good to go to work or like whatever, right? I'm just like wasting this time. So I need to sit down, and it's just because I have a lot of time, so I'm always like, well, I can just do my things whenever, so it's almost like because I have more time, I'm like, oh, I don't need to do it right now because I will do it later. And then guess who doesn't do it later? So
Have you read or listened to the 5 second rule?
I have never read it or listened to it.
So I would
It is
say
by
like,
Mel Robbins.
Good.
yeah,
It's by Mel Robbins, right? I'll get it on Audible. Hold
yeah,
on,
that
my
has
cat is
helped
freaking out.
me insanely with those things. Like, and now that I'm a mom, I like don't have time to waste, but with my productivity and like doing that, because you become aware of that. Like you become aware, and it's like getting in the habit of counting down like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and like getting your brain back on track and being like, okay, I don't have time to do that. But I think that book really helped me in that area. And I actually have been re-listening to it because I felt like I was falling back into that trap too, in certain times. And not that I wasn't, because again, I do my best to utilize the time that I have, but like I felt like I could be doing more, and I also needed to get out of bed again early, so I could do more. And it just reminded me of that specific thing. So I definitely would
Cool.
recommend the 5 second rule.
It was my media
Cool.
career.
I actually have it apparently in my books, in my Audible. So apparently at one point I was like, I need to listen to that. So it's here. I'll listen to it tomorrow. Yay.
It's a goodie.
Yeah. Apparently I'm on chapter 3, but
I've done that so many times with personal development books, but I think there's always a time for them and a time that you need them. And like you can start them and hear nothing and it like not resonate with you. And then you can be in a certain area of your life where you re-listen or reread and you're like, damn, how did I miss this before? Like I need this.
yeah, for sure. There's a time and a place for all the personal developments. And that's like when you don't resonate with it, doesn't mean you won't eventually, because you'll come back to it or whatever.
Anybody else? Oh, Danielle, yay.
I'll go. So something that I know I need to do more of is sharing more outside of like my workouts and my shake, or like just trying to share more. I was watching some videos today about how these people are sharing about coaching opportunity like once a month, like 1 week out of the month, and they were really only hitting their warm market. They weren't getting anybody outside of it, and they decided that they needed to like 10 times it. And I never share about coaching, and kind of made me think about like I really went in on the MBF launch, and I thought I was sharing about it all the time. And I have some girlfriends who do Beachbody. They're with like their cousins and stuff, coaches, but we talk about it all the time. And the first ones always watch my stories. And so when the program started, I thought they knew what I was doing. And they're like, well, what are you doing? And I was like, MBF, muscle burns fat. So it made me realize like I might feel like I share about it a lot, but I'm not. So I need to share about all of the stuff more. And also getting in front of the camera more. Like right now my heart's beating, but I think the team call not team call, the morning wake up call is saying something about September scaries, doing whatever scares you every day. And for me, that is talking in front of the camera. And something I want to do down the road is create like recorded videos, like for when I have coaches down the road, so that, because I'm in Hawaii, so my time zone's always off with people. So that way, if like I can't do like the first onboarding call with them, I can at least send it to them and then we can meet up later. And so I want to create more recorded videos just to like also feel like I'm more organized. But yeah, videos and getting in front of the camera is something I'm focusing on for this month.
I love that. And I think that one, I will say even almost 7 years in, I still get nervous about team calls and speaking and like going live. Like, and I still sometimes even get in my head about talking on my stories. If my anxiety is high, I'm like, I don't want to talk. I don't want to, like, I totally get that. But what I think is awesome and what I love doing about talking about coaching, because I used to struggle with that too. What I always tell my coaches is write down 10 ways coaching has changed your life and use those 10 ways and turn them into 10 posts or 10 talking points and just like start to bring it up, because the more you do it, the easier it is, the more that list grows. And the more like authentic it feels to talk about it. And I think sometimes, again, we think that we're talking about things all the time, but whether we are or aren't, like on top of that, social media is so skewed. Like people don't see everything. People don't listen to everything. There are so many times I'll like start watching my stories and I set my phone down and my phone is still going through stories later. And it looks like I watched all these stories and I really like didn't, or I don't listen with the sound on. So I don't hear people talking. Because I have a baby who's super like light sleeper, will wake up. So I think it's important to remember not everybody sees. And also 99% of the people, like whether they're watching or not, like they want to support you. They want to like cheer you on. And the people who do get annoyed, like those aren't your people. So again, it's just about getting out of our head and like getting into action. So I love those goals. And I love that. Yeah. I like the September scary thing too.
Yeah.
I wanted to point out something with like, first of all, talking on your stories. I know, Danielle, we talked about this before, but literally just like almost practicing. And even if you don't end up posting whatever it is, just like taking a couple of things and just talking in front of your phone. Like we talked about this on one of the calls that I led recently. Like, yes, going like this is absolutely so awkward. And it's going to continue to be awkward until you don't let it be anymore, because it's just like you're talking to your friend. Like picture your best friend on the other side of it. But the other thing about you feel like you're talking about the same thing all the time is, I think exactly what you're saying. You're not realizing. You're like, what do you mean? I say MBF all the time, but like no one knows what that is. And so continuously reminding them, especially like Cait is saying, that people don't like, they might not be watching it, or they might hear half of that video and then click through it. Or they might be listening or like watching with their sound off. And so even though it seems to you like you're saying the same thing over and over, think about like when you type in your email, you like go like, I'm searching for furniture right now, right? So I'm like, a pop-up comes like, get 20% off. And I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll use it at some point. And then I put in my email and they send me the 20% off and I don't use it that day. I'm going to forget about it. And then the next day they send me a new one and I'm like, oh crap, I never used that. And then I forget about it. And then they send me another one until probably maybe 5 times later, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll use it now. It's kind of the same thing. They're going to continue to forget about it, and you have to keep reminding them of what this is. But not only just posting about the program and the moves and the workout, but also like your take of it. What have you gained? What is your personal experience? What about the people in Wanderlust Wellness? Like, what are they getting out of this? Share some of the transformation posts that I share, that Katie shares, that whoever shares, share, you know, something from our Facebook community in general. Like, feel free. And obviously, like if you're posting someone that's not a coach, like get their permission first, or like block out their name or something. But like share personal testimonials too, and be like, hey, this is the same program I'm doing. Isn't this amazing? Look at, you know, how this person feels or whatever. And like sharing in different ways, because I think that you're really good about sharing your workouts and stuff. And you're really good at, like you said, about sharing your shakes and what you're doing, but you're not necessarily sharing what it is, if that makes sense.
or getting people with the invite and like remembering we have to make it stupid obvious for people to know that they can join us. Because I've literally had people who I've been sharing about this for years, and there's somebody I've been friends with for years, and they don't like, I'll reach out to them and they'll be like, oh, I didn't know I could join you. Oh, I wanted to do this, but I didn't think it was for me. So like reminding yourself to make it really, really blatant, very, very like in your face, this is what I'm doing, you can join me. I like what Amanda always says, you know, this is a party, and you have to invite people to it. Haley, what do I say? I feel like I should be better to show, be better, proof the product works. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, proof is a good
Proof
word.
the product. Proof the product works.
I know
Yeah.
it does because I've done it, and before I wasn't like trying to coach or anything, but I don't know, like the last week my nutrition got really bad. And also I feel like everybody on my Facebook is not who I want to invite, and I don't know where to go to get new friends. Facebook groups. Get yourself in there.
I went to one and it said no soliciting, so I got scared they would just kick me out.
But it's not even about that. It's just building relationships, commenting on people's posts in there. Like that is how I got a huge following of just random people. And then once you become friends on Facebook and then they start seeing your posts and then they start maybe commenting on your posts, then that's not soliciting in the group.
I've had a couple people too that have seen like my coming out post and they asked, what are you doing? Or like other posts on Snapchat or whatever. And I say Beachbody and they're like, oh, I don't want to pay for it. Like, okay. So that's
well, then you
why
do not want those
new
people.
right. Or they're like, I tried it before. Like,
So
no.
anyone that says that they tried it before, I'm like, when's the last time you tried it? A lot of times, even if it's only a year ago, so much has changed in a year. I always hit them with, you know, we're coming out with 3 to 4 new programs every single year. All of the programs are way different than what they used to be. They're all in real time, which means you're never repeating a workout. Now we have meditation on there, and they are continuing to come out with more, as well as a meditation program, just like really explaining what the actual value is there. And I don't know if you've done the math before, but a year of BOD is $99. That's 27 cents a day.
Yeah, the subscription is not bad at all for what you would pay if you were going to like a gym and you don't have assistance.
Yeah, so I think really it's just consistency. Like continue showing up, continue like do the Facebook groups. You can do Instagrams and like Instagram. I sound like an old person. Instagram and finding people through hashtags and locations, and again, knowing it's not going to happen overnight, and it takes consistency and continuing to show up. And like you said, you felt like you needed to be a better proof the product works. Like people find that relatable too. So sharing that and being like, the great thing is it's my job to do this now as a coach. I have this awesome community to hold me accountable. Like more people need this, and I'm here to help you get started with it. And just continuing to be like really authentic about your journey and what you're doing, and like know that you will find your people. The more authentic you are, the more you talk about it, the more you show up, the more you connect with people, and grow your network. But
you said something about if people look at you, they're going to say that doesn't work.
Yeah.
So it's not talk about how it's making you feel. Okay. Talk about like the changes that you're noticing in digestion and energy and metabolism and like whatever. And talk about the fact that maybe you didn't used to eat healthy and now you actually enjoy it and things like that. Like it doesn't have to be like a side by side, like, look at me. You can talk about how you feel. And honestly, more than anything, that's probably, I mean, obviously people like pictures sell, but overall people want to know that you're going to feel good, right? They don't want to just pay for it and like every other thing where they look good for a second and then they like go back downhill. And you can talk about how sustainable it is, that you're not dieting and you're not taking any pills or anything like that.
So Miranda asked about what kind of Facebook groups or how do you find Facebook groups. I do interest groups, things that I'm interested in. So like hiking in the Pacific Northwest, now mom groups. My son has food allergies, like food allergy mom groups. And I just comment and then connect with women and then add them as friends and build off of from there. But I think it totally depends on like looking at your brand and what you are interested in and finding groups based on that. Because there's a friggin' Facebook group for everything these days.
Yeah,
and
just
then
search
spend
things
your
that you're interested in. Easiest
Yeah.
way. There's like a million dog mom groups out there. I don't know if you have a dog, but I do, and it's great. And they even have like a social media Saturday. Some of these the larger groups especially will have like one day a week when no matter what you promote or anything, you can add your social media. Because a lot of these are like, no MLMs, no soliciting, which is like understandable. Otherwise, every MLM would be all over the place. But the difference is we're there to build connections. And honestly, you want to be joining Facebook groups where you want to engage. Like, don't just join any Facebook group, because otherwise you're just going to be like, ugh, this is annoying. This is work, basically. Like, you want to actually be attracting your tribe and people that you want to be in contact with.
So once you join a group, they can't see like our personal posts unless we're friends, or unless you post on the
As
group.
long as your privacy settings are set to that on Facebook.
But like, in order for the whole group to see what I'm posting, I would have to tag the group or post it on the group's page.
Yes.
But you don't normally want to like do that because a lot of it is no soliciting. So it's like building connections within the group and friending those people. And then once you're friends, they'll see your posts.
Okay.
So yeah, like making a post about whatever the group is about,
Yeah.
like blah blah blah. I'm Haley and I like, whatever, and then adding the people that are in there as friends and then connecting with them, just like
connections.
yes. And so then you like connect with them, start conversations with them. They start seeing your stuff because you guys are friends.
Mm-hmm.
And so like how like you building a connection.
So like one of the things I did like way back when I moved to LA is I joined Girls Who Hike LA, and I met a bunch of friends through there just by commenting on the post, because I love hiking and I was new to the area. I wanted to know cool hikes, so I would like comment. I led a group hike one time, so I met a bunch of friends from there. I connected with every single person that I went on the hike with. Like it's just like commenting on what's already in the groups and just continuing to interact, and then eventually you'll start to build connections and then add people. It's kind of like, it's almost like being on a dating app. Like you're like, building this connection on like the threads that are already on the group. Like I'm in a dog group, and one of them, hi beautiful.
blonde hair.
Like I'm in a dog group, and once in a while I might just post a photo of my dog on a hike and be like, we went on a hike today. And then like people might comment on it. Oh, what kind of dog is she? Blah, blah, blah. And I'll just answer. And then eventually once we start chit chatting, I might add them on Facebook. And then, another week later, I might be like, hey, what's up? Like, how are you? And just building that connection. It's not about like going on there, scouring their members list, adding a bunch of people and being like, hi, can you join me? Like,
That's what I was
today we are all about making connections, right? We want to attract our tribe.
One last thing I want to leave you guys with, because I have to go feed this guy, is so I recently listened to another great personal development book by David Goggins called Can't Hurt Me. And if you're somebody who likes a little bit of like tough love, it definitely is that kind of personal development, and he's just very real. But one thing that he talks about, and one, like there's assignments at the end of each chapter, like most personal development books, but one that I've really put into daily use is something called the accountability mirror that he does. And so basically it's like calling out the things that you struggle with. So if it's your consistency with your workouts, if it's your invites, it's whatever, it's writing those things down and putting them in your accountability mirror where you have to see them every single day. So I also just write out my goals. Like I do like Success Club 10, Success Club 20, Success Club 30, if that's and I like throughout the month for those, like if once I hit Success Club 10, I pull that sticky note off. But the things that I'm struggling with, like my invites that I put up there, or my follow-ups, or, posting every day, or whatever it is, like I have those things on my accountability mirror. So I see it every single day. And that's really helped me a lot. So if, again, you struggle with that consistency or that follow through on those daily actions, like looking at your SC tracker and then writing down those daily activities and just putting them on a mirror in your house so you see them every single day and like you're like checking yourself, can really, really help. But anyways, thank you guys so much for having me on your call, and I really appreciate all the time that you guys took out of your night to be here.
Thank you
And
guys.
I'll post the recording soon. So thank you
Can we
guys.
do a boomerang real quick?
Yes.
Don't
Yes,
leave. Don't leave.
I'm so
it looks like I'm not showing his
Ready?
face because I don't show his face on social media anymore. Hold on.
Good. Put your hand over it. Yes, ready. 1, 2, 3. Yay. Thank you guys. I'll tag you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you guys.
Bye.